There's plenty of debate among human resource professionals and researchers about the particular dimensions that make up employee engagement, but at its core, it comes down to whether employees feel invested in their company's mission and its success. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture. After extensive research of over 8 million employees globally, Aon Hewitt's 2017 employee engagement model provides a holistic and valid approach to employee engagement. I wanted to share this model with you because I've come to realize employee engagement is largely about implementing many of the topics we've already discussed in class, and taken together have evolved beyond engagement to what is now called the employee experience. The foundational elements of employee drivers that include the basics, business practices, and the work itself is what you may be more familiar with as it pertains to employee engagement. But now there is much more focus on the top three elements of the wheel: performance, leadership, and the brand reputation. After realizing your employees' engagement drivers, a company's efforts in creating a positive employee experience can be seen in what an employee says about the company, what they do, and how hard they work for the success of the company. Therefore, an engaged employee says good things about the organization to other employees, customers, and potential recruits. They stay with the company because they have a sense of belonging, and they strive for achievement. Aon Hewitt is adamant that all three elements have to be present for an employee to be engaged. And actually, 64% of the U.S. workforce is estimated to be considered engaged, according to DecisionWise's Leadership Intelligence podcast State of Employee Engagement episode report from May 22, 2018. It is clear that companies benefit when they have a largely engaged workforce, and this results in business outcomes. Their talent, they retain it, and employees are excited about coming to work, so there's less absenteeism. Overall, the employees are much more well. On an operational viewpoint, productivity increases and safety incidents tend to decrease. From a customer standpoint, customer satisfaction increases. Your Net Promoter Score may be increased. And the customer is retained, primarily because they have a more pleasant experience with the employees at the company. And last, financial. Revenues tend to go up, operating income margin increases, and total shareholder return thus increases. Despite proven outcomes, over 70% of companies are not tracking ROI, according to the same report from the 2018 Employee Engagement Report from DecisionWise. I hope this provides you with a high-level roadmap of evaluating, implementing, optimizing, and keeping track of employee engagement efforts for your organization.
As per the past school of thought, companies focus more on financial motivators to engage employees. These include compensation, performance-based incentives, and annual bonuses. Some companies also extend stock options. In a competitive environment, these motivators can easily be matched by competitors, so there was clearly something that was lacking. While the old school of thought focused on money, the present school of thought added non-financial motivators to the mix. These include setting of goals that align with company objectives and making this known to the employee, hence providing more meaning to their work, providing frequent feedback and empowering employees to take up challenging projects. Executives usually undermine their involvement in the process. Not only do they foster a positive environment for employee engagement, regular contact hours with the employees at large can go a long way in making them feel valued and keeping them engaged. Developmental opportunities like mentoring and coaching, peer recognition through frequent huddles, and involving employees in corporate social responsibility initiatives are other factors. This was proven in a research conducted by McKinsey a decade ago in 2009, right after the financial crisis. Non-financial motivators were found to be as effective, if not more, than financial motivators when it comes to employee engagement. The study was conducted again in 2018, and the top motivators for employee engagement were found to be career growth opportunities, working with a purpose, peer recognition, and work flexibility. So what we are seeing now is a transition from the traditional approach to employee engagement to a business-led one. Whereas the first model was led by HR due to its focus on metrics and financials, the new model is led by managers and executives. Employee engagement surveys are conducted more frequently, and employees have more say. As opposed to meeting once a year at a town hall event, for example, employees now huddle more frequently.
Before diving into current trends, let's take a look at the global landscape from Aon 2017 Employee Engagement Report. You can see here where your country fits from the global average of 63%. Colombia shows the highest level of engagement, while Nigeria shows the highest improvement from last year. Perhaps in our forum discussions this week, you can let us know if you feel your company is above or below your country average. Perhaps there's some room for improvement there. Now getting back to the big trends we've been seeing throughout this video. As already stated, a shift has taken place from thinking about employee engagement to that of the employee experience, an ecosystem that integrates three core dimensions: engagement, culture, and performance. The new focus will drive leaders to look at their employee journey map and optimize it just as marketers do for their customer experience journey map. Secondly, regular feedback is replacing annual reviews, as millennials and Gen Xers look for feedback on a continuous basis so that they can improve. Thirdly, peer-to-peer recognition. No longer are we looking for top-down leadership to recognize us, but in addition, we also want our peers to evaluate us. And last, the race to digitize HR and the use of technology. In addition to honing in on people analytics, HR will experiment with technology in the market, such as pulse feedback surveys, modern communication and productivity tools, and employee wellness apps, all of which facilitate the understanding and development of the employee experience. Let's look at how Audi Brussels is incorporating technology into their employee engagement efforts.
Telefonica UK has the Think Big program, which provides employees an opportunity to volunteer with the community, sharing their skills with young people across Europe, providing them with entrepreneurial and technical development support. Engaging employees through volunteerism increases networking skills, confidence, and an overall increased employee engagement. Recognize D, an internal app created to increase employee engagement while supporting business strategy. The app focuses on employee recognition through the entire workforce by encouraging peer-to-peer communication and recognition across the business by allowing employees to send a D for discover, disrupt, or deliver. The increased employee engagement through programs such as Think Big has allowed for increases in motivation, confidence, and productivity, to name a few. Google is another great example. At Google, the concept of HIPPO, highly paid person for an opinion, doesn't exist. The senior-most person is not responsible for decision-making, and instead, it's a consensus-driven collaborative process. Google uses people analytics in its employee engagement surveys and uses the feedback to optimize its people processes, aligning them with its work culture, which has resulted in an average participation rate of 90%. Google allows its employees the option to use up to 20% of their work week to pursue special projects unrelated to their normal workload, allowing for autonomy and ownership. The TGIF meetings, which tend to occur on a Friday, allow employees to freely ask founders company-related questions, promoting openness and transparency. The Career Guru program matches executives with employees to provide confidential one-on-one career coaching and guidance. Finally, the Google O-Meter is a charting tool that promotes employee suggestions and potential cultural changes, which then measures the popularity of employee suggestions, ultimately allowing employees to have a voice. Google has high employee engagement, leading to a higher level of performance, passion, and job satisfaction, and greater innovation in the workplace.
One of the methodologies that has been and are more widely used are the employee engagement surveys, that are normally done in an annual basis, and in which employees are asked the various type of questions in order to gauge their degree of attachment to their jobs, colleagues, and organization, and helps to determine their willingness to go beyond their basic parameters of their job. Assuming honest survey responses, those surveys provide a good input into the employees' self-perception about their level of engagement. However, while knowing what employees think has certainly high value, surveys have some disadvantage as the fact that they don't gather objective data on how really engaged employees actually are, as the surveys are based on the employees' self-perception. Also, they present a bias from respondents to think preferentially in the recent events, and they offer potentially game results, situation that may result in people telling you what they think you want to hear rather than saying what they really think. In the last years, new trends based on people analytics are allowing to begin to measure much more objectively and based in facts the level of employee engagement. These measurements analyze objective selected behaviors like, for instance, the amount of work that occurs outside of normal working hours, for instance, in evenings or in the weekends. Also, for instance, the number of network connections and time spent with people outside of immediate team operation. Or, for instance, the percentage of participation in ad hoc meetings and initiative versus recurring meetings and processes. Also, the time spent collaborating directly with customers, even if they are not assigned customers, outside always of normal scope of works. All these behaviors may indicate a really high engagement of the employee. In summary, these commented measurements present the advantage over traditional methodologies of measurement, actual and real engagement, rather than a self-perceived engagement.
Key takeaways. There are 4 main takeaways from this lesson. Understanding the drivers of employee engagement. Knowing whether employees are engaged or disengaged is only the first step. It's important to understand and to evaluate the results in order to take proper action. In this sense, it's paramount that the organization understands the key drivers of engagement and disengagement and to prioritize those initiatives that will have the greatest impact on increasing engagement levels. Make a decision. Invest in employee engagement. It has been demonstrated that engaged employees lead to better business outcomes, mainly having a direct impact on productivity and profitability. The results can be translated into productivity increase, decreasing employee turnover, and better customer service, among others. Evaluate alternatives, non-financial versus financial motivators. Non-financial mechanisms are more effective in building long-term employee engagement than financial alternatives. It has been proven that employee recognition, leadership attention, and chances of promotions are far more appreciated by employees than cash bonuses, a salary increase, or stock options. Don't forget to measure. Keeping track of the level of engagement is not something you do just once a year. Measurement should be an ongoing activity that will allow your company to identify improvements and to evaluate the results of those actions that have been implemented.